Hiya, Max.
Hey, Sam.
Do you think you could fit a
DVD in your mouth?
Forget a CD. Do you think you could fit a DVD in your mouth?
Do you reckon you could fit like nearly 10 times the amount of information storage on the same sized disc into your mouth, Sam?
Do you think you could fit a USB into your gob?
Do you think you could fit? Do you think you could fit?
Do you think you could fit me in your mouth, mate?
Wait, Governor, you fit a full CD in your mouth. Anyway,
I said, do you think you could fit me in your mouth?
Well,
hello, sailor.
hello, Samuel. I mean, if you really let's talk off, Mark.
Let's take this offline. Anyway, serious pants. We've got an interview to get to.
Yes. It was a great chat. You're about to hear us speaking with Fangirl out of Melbourne.
We had a great chat. You're about to hear us speak.
We've had the chat. You're about to hear it. This is how it's
And
working.
we're chatting now.
And we're currently
So
chatting.
we've had a chat. You're about to hear the chat, and we're currently chatting.
So
It's a real chatception.
It's really there's a lot of time travel going on here. But we chatted with Fangirl out of Melbourne, who are dropping just some really rollicking, like fun rock and roll music at the moment, right? And so we say rollicking, Sam. It's rollicking, and it's quite a good chat about sort of how the latest EP, Real Stage, came about.
Yep.
Got pretty heavy at some points when we were talking about a pretty unfortunate event that happened pretty early in the band's career and how they've bounced back and how that's sort of impacted these songs.
They spoke a lot about how they're just finding enjoyment in playing music together, which is quite wholesome.
It is beautiful.
And I think it was an interesting perspective into sort of the pressures on a lot of bands having to have multiple arms, you know?
Yes.
And at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying playing music, then what's the point?
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah.
And so let's not spoil it, chat.
No, we've just pretty much broken down all our questions.
Yeah, you don't actually
haven't we?
listen to the chat now. No, please do listen to it. It was a really good interview. We worked hard on this one.
And you wouldn't guess what our first question is. I'll start it off, Max, by giving a bit of context. Firstly, to our guest, we are joined by the rock and rollers coming out of Melbourne, Fangirl. Lads, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
It's our absolute pleasure. I was saying to Max off air that I am I've had a nightmare in the last 5 or so minutes. I saw some gum. I think it's my girlfriend's gum or mint, sorry, on the little dressing table here. I thought, oh yeah, freshen up before the interview. And not only were they expired, I've literally spent the last 5 minutes getting them out of my teeth. And after that, I forgot my Zoom password. So it's been a shit show, but I'm hoping the rest of the show will be amazing. So a very warm welcome.
That'd be going well.
Consummate professional, Sam. You always bring the vibe.
And you got that great fresh breath now, so you're doing it.
Well, yeah, after I've had about 6 toothpicks snap, I'd certainly hope so. But look, we do start the show the same way every time, and that is to get inside your Spotify playlist, your Apple Music playlist, and get a bit of an idea of what you're loving as of late.
That's such a good question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I can go first if you need
Yeah, you go.
Been listening a lot to like Griselda stuff, kind of like East Coast hip hop from the US. Been smashing the latest Dog World EP,
Yes.
which is fantastic. Highly recommend that to anyone out there that's looking for anything to listen to at all. What else?
I mean, new Gush EP as well.
The new Gush EP is
Just in
fantastic.
that world, that is sick. We saw him play live on Friday night as well, and it was like just a crazy good show. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty, I mean, I wouldn't say that they necessarily line up perfectly with what I would have imagined is behind the Fangirl, playlists, but I suppose that probably adds to a bit of like depth and like, you're drawing from a few different worlds there.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's all we have is like a vast array of stuff that we're not very good at imitating any of, really. So, yeah.
Look, we are here to talk about the upcoming EP, Real Staged. I wanted to kind of touch specifically on the latest single that dropped. First off, 1111. It's a bit of it's kind of almost as we're saying there, like a lot of different worlds that you're touching on. It starts off kind of this kind of almost quite regimented post-punk kind of feel. It then ends up going in a chaotic kind of noise rock sort of closer by the end of it. Was it ever kind of a bit of a struggle to figure out the shape of this track, like in the studio when you're sort of figuring out where you wanted to go with it?
Yeah, it was. It's the song that we gave ourselves, or particularly I gave myself, the most amount of time with, because it's also the oldest, or it's like the oldest idea on the EP. And I had all these very specific ideas of what I thought we should do with the song, and how it should be presented. And for ages, it was quite different in a live thing as well. So we kind of just took our time. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Until about 2 days before we tracked vocals, it sounded great, but it had no like obvious shape. Like it was really formless and maybe a little bit worryingly so. But it seemed to just come together in time. It was like a couple things happened. We got this amazing keys player, Christy, to play some collab on it. And then I played some really bad trumpet on it. And for some reason, those two things, like this god tier keyboard playing on a clav and just like maybe the worst recorded trumpet of all time, kind of really brought the song together. And from that point, I think it was feeling a lot more like it does now, which is hopefully close to finished.
I hope so. It's out in the world.
It's not my problem anymore. You want to add to it, go nuts.
When you're talking about some of the different sounds that it or the different forms that it took, especially you were saying it sort of had a different vibe to it live, you know, was that an entirely different, may as well have been a different track? Was it just like a slight variation on what we ended up with, or what direction was that going in?
Well, like, I guess it's like the parts are kind of like we replicate a lot of the parts. Like they're the same musical idea, but I guess it's like the sonic like way that that's represented. Like I know you were really playing around with like instead of things being a guitar line like we do live, it's like, oh, let's put it on a synth, or like let's cut it up, or like how can we like do that differently so it's not just another kind of like guitar track. Like this song like doesn't really have like heaps of guitars on it.
Yeah.
Like
there's very minimal for a fangirl song, it's very minimal guitars.
Yeah.
And there's heaps of like auxiliary. There's like lots of drum machine on it, and you know all these key parts and like piano, and these like flourishes and stuff, and all of that we can't really replicate live very well. So I guess the live version is just what we do with 5 of us in a room with the tools that we've been given, basically.
Yeah. And they're different, but that's cool. Like, it doesn't have to, like the studio version or whatever, doesn't have to be the same as the live thing, because like that, they're both cool in their own like unique way.
And they've informed each other as well. Like, a very small part of me wants to rip the trumpet out. Don't get me wrong, like I really do. But we're already pushing it on luggage, so I don't know if we can start bringing a trumpet along for 10 seconds of really poorly played trumpet. But like just kind of exploring those elements, like the trumpets in there to just cause an absolute chaos, and the piano in the second verse is there to kind of like make it eerie. So we're kind of using what we've got, be it like weird pedals or guitar stuff or the megaphone or whatever, to kind of replicate those feelings in like a different way. But yeah, I feel like it was always going to be something that wasn't quite just 5 people in a room playing. It was going to be a bit more eclectic or like kooky or broken or something. But yeah,
it's also it's kind of a long song, so I feel like it needs to like there's a
variation.
The EP is like even longer. It's like 5 minutes or something, so it's kind of cool to have different sounds and stuff going.
There's the longer version on the EP, and it has a big intro and all that stuff. So it felt necessary to try and give it a couple of different points of difference. And people keep on mentioning it in reviews. They're like, oh, it's a bit of a roller coaster, you know, and like all the states and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, if it wasn't a roller coaster, you'd be really bored. Like, it's boring.
It's not the teacup rides. No.
I feel like it's right, but it's just spinning. You're just spinning.
I feel like calling a song a roller coaster in a review can come across so backhanded sometimes. It's like calling something unique.
Yeah.
Like mom says you look nice. It's like
oh, that's a nice outfit.
You're like
you bought your new hat. You're trying to feel fly. Like, oh, cool, I'm trying something new. Let's see how we go.
My auntie used to call things Jazzy. She'd be like, "Oh, that's a Jazzy shirt," and I'd be like, "I'm never wearing this again."
No, burn.
Burn it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jazzy. Oh, that's snide. I think that's
I
coming
love
at
look, and I love Jazz as well, but we weren't referencing the same Jazz there.
Were you kind of manifesting all the astrology girly pops with the angel number as a title?
Oh. Yes and no, but mainly no, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it just rhymed. And then like I think like we didn't write the lyrics, or we weren't the main writers of the lyrics. Noah wrote the lyrics for the most part, and my hazy memory of how that line came up was just that 11 rhymed and 11 worked. Like we've kind of had this running thing where we've had songs where they've had the name twice. We've had a song called React.
Stupid.
Just yeah. And very gladly we're bringing that to an end with this song. But
It's the end of the trilogy.
yeah, it's the end of the trilogy, the holy trilogy. But yeah, I think it started because it rhymed, but then there was also a kind of an auspicious, eerie vibe to the song and the lyrics as well. They kind of tied it together, and it's become this like full package deal. Yeah, where you buy into the astrology really quick.
It's also my birthday, right?
Yeah, it's Luke's birthday. The 11th to the 11th.
Hey.
That's what it's really about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for fans of Fangirl, 1111, they've had, Real Estate, I should talk about. They've had, pretty much 3 singles now. They've got 1111, last one, and Little Pig, and all of them sort of individually sound quite different sonically. I guess the question I'm going to ask, and it's a bit of a generic question, but I'm a shocking music reviewer, and I don't want to say roller coaster. So when you're looking at Real Estate, do you see, I guess, a musical through line for the EP? Or, how would you describe to someone who is an auntie and goes, "Oh, what's that band you're listening to? They're pretty jazzy."
Yeah. Burn the EP.
Yeah, that's really. I think there's a slight like this really doesn't have anything to do with Real Estate, but there's a slight like blurry reality thing that kind of goes across all the songs. And there's like a bit of this is not like Noah wouldn't like me to say this, but there's like a bit of an acid tinged darkness to all 5 of them, and it like shows up in different ways across the 5 songs. But I think they're all a little bit like there's just a tinge of like almost like Alice in Wonderland or something.
Warped.
Yeah, it's just a little bit warped, a little bit wonky. It's not overbearing, or I hope it's not overbearing. Maybe it is. Like the CP might just be giving everyone seasickness. There's just like this undercurrent of like slightly unsettled.
Yeah.
To my feeling. Yeah. That would be the thing for me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's hard to separate as well, because you're like being part of the process of it being made. It's like each song, maybe not sonically, like it's not sonically clear, although it was all tracked in the same place, like in our studio and everything. Like, so maybe that's something. But they really capture like this crazy time we've had, like putting the whole thing together. To me, like that's just kind of, I don't know. There's like this hectic warp kind of feel to it, and that's kind of what it was like doing it. So yeah, I find it hard to separate that feeling out as well.
There's a lot of PTSD with these songs.
Yeah.
Reflecting on sort of some unfortunate happenings in the band that have happened over the course of you guys being an outfit. For fans that don't know, after your debut album dropped in 2018, Jack, a founding member of the band, passed away, which is obviously horrendous and very tragic, and it would have all had massive impacts on you guys individually and as a band. What were those first kind of conversations like coming back? Was there ever talk of ditching the band entirely, rebranding to something completely different? What were those conversations like for you guys to sort of make sense of all that?
Yeah, hectic. We took a bit of time. We did take a bit of time. We probably didn't, because it kind of like it was the night before we were supposed to go to Sydney to play our Sydney album launch and stuff. So it kind of really just stopped. And then we probably didn't even wow, I was probably leading this, but we probably didn't consider it for like at least 6 months after.
Oh yeah, so long.
I don't reckon we probably got it in the room together and played till like, yeah, 7 or 8 months after.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of like I think what we did is we just like redesigned it to be this thing that served like what we wanted to get out of it, which was just like making music with our friends and like doing it seriously and like trying to make it good and stuff, but like at the core of it, it just has to be like this enjoyable thing.
Yeah.
That's worth doing regardless of if anyone hears it or if or if we have to stop tomorrow again or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was a big shift. It went from like really young, unbridled energy of just being like, fuck it, and then it was like, oh no, like we should do this for ourselves,
Yeah.
and like, and then if anyone else cares to partake, that's up to them.
Mm.
Not in a selfish way, just in like there's no point in doing it otherwise, really.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the ultimate life perspective shift.
Mm.
Like it doesn't get any more hectic than that, I think. So like coming back and remembering that you're like human beings and you have to like enjoy this thing you're doing. And, yeah, I think like putting that first for sure. Like
yeah. And I think it served us really well. I think it's been a very slow build back. For the last like 12 months, 18 months of the band, it's just been so good.
Yeah.
Like we've just been having the best time we've ever had in the band and playing these great shows and putting out music we're really stoked about and all this other news that's going on at the moment. So
yeah.
like yeah, it feels like whatever work we did in that like hectic period of time where none of us really remember much, obviously whatever groundwork we did is like starting to pay off. Even just on a personal level, like an enjoyment and happiness.
Yeah.
Well, I guess ultimately, if you're not enjoying it, what's the point? But I guess the fact that you guys are enjoying it and it is all about playing music with your friends, it probably comes across to fans and certainly to us as like this super, just like a really great authenticity piece. Like it's genuine, it's fun, and that's what it's meant to be about. But I mean, the road back to this longer collection of songs was clearly and understandably a journey. And I mean, I guess I'm interested what felt right about this moment to drop an EP compared to, just the singles sort of here and there.
Yeah, I'm not sure because we've been at our own pace trickling stuff out since 2019.
Yeah.
And
For a while.
yeah, I feel like we were doing some stuff. We did Big Sound. COVID happened. We're like, all right, fucking hell, this is obviously not supposed to happen. And then we, like everyone, obviously, we're the only people that experience COVID. But and then it was just a slow build back in from there. Like where it was like putting a song out when we felt like it to the last 14, 12 months, whatever it's been, where it's just been song after song after song. And I feel like we always knew that we wanted to just go song, but eventually you get to a point where you've got these other songs that maybe aren't that one song every 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe it's something else. Also, like we are all really big fans of like longer format, be it EP or album. As like fans of music, like we will do another album one day, and we'll definitely do more EPs. And I'm looking forward to all of that. And I feel like we just had to build up back to that point. And now that we've done it, basically, I feel like the sky's the limit a bit. Like we can just do what we want from here.
Yeah. I think we also like I feel like at some point we sat down and we like, because we're going to the UK soon, and we were like, we want to do that. Like we want to go overseas and like tour, and like we want to just reach some different kind of like level to where we've been. And then the EP was kind of like also a product of like getting to that. We're like, how can we get there? Well, let's like do an EP. Like it wasn't that like thought through, but like I feel like that's also part of where we are now.
Yeah, I think you're right. It also just enables us to have played like
and do more.
For over the last 2 or 3 months, we've just played and played and played and played and played.
Yeah.
It's been like at least a show a week for like 11 or 12 weeks or something. Playing all over Australia and having such a great time. And I feel like, that's been a big part of that.
Yeah.
It's just been like the EP we've wanted to do creatively, but also it's worth doing all of that to be able to do everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Like play the shows and do the international and chat with you guys and all that stuff.
Oh, guys.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned about how you've been on this massive run of live shows. I suppose, what have you learned about, especially the songs in the EP, but the dozen or so singles that you've had over the past 12 to 14 months that you've also put out? What have you learned about those songs that you could kind of really only discover by playing them live?
I've learned which ones I really don't like. No, thankfully, I would say this run of the last, whatever period of time, 14 months we'll call it, all the songs have been really great to play live, actually.
Yeah.
So it's been good. I've learned that I'm sick of playing older songs, I think. Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
I was just thinking that like sometimes they take like more work to get right live. Like I feel like there's been a few songs that we've just really had to work on and then like strip it and come back and rehearse it, try it again, and then like sometimes you still play a show and you like fuck something up and you're like there's that thing again that we need to fix. So yeah, it's kind of been fun just trying to like get them right live as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that the studio versions and the live thing are different. That's what makes it cool, but that's also what like adds a little bit of challenge here and there.
Yeah, I also think that we've like another good thing about those songs, because the previous songs obviously we've had for longer. It's how time works apparently. But but getting over the hump of learning those songs and being able to confidently play them has meant that, particularly in the last like 6 to 8 weeks of touring, we've been able to just really have fun with them.
Yeah.
And not saying we're playing them super tight like prog style, more just that the most chaos they've ever been, but it's fine. Yeah. It's like you're in a train that's coming off the rails and everything's burning and you're just okay with it. It's kind of cool.
There's still
there's still forward movement, exactly. Yeah. And there's still catering.
That's a good point.
Fuck, this is a hella nice train.
Yeah, beautiful train. Yeah.
Are there subliminal messages you give each other if you are on stage and fuck up? Like, can you feel the side-eye burning through the side of your head? Or...
I think there might be.
Occasionally. I feel like it's funny now when someone like when someone messes someone up, I could like you just turn around and somene's laughing about it. It's like we know, no one else knows, I don't think. Yeah. So
I think that's the thing is it's now we just have a real laugh.
Yeah.
That sounds really weird, but like really enjoy it, and it's when it's good, it's like really good, and when we fuck up, it's just a bit funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
no one ever seems to say anything. Yeah. Maybe they're just they're being mum and they're not saying anything mean. But like,
I think I do a little bit of like not whip cracking on stage, but I do a bit of just like trying to lean people in and stuff. Yeah. But the other that is that I'm the one that's fucking it up most of the time. So
it is like it's a dynamic like breathing entity. Up there. Like they're people getting lost, getting pulled back in. Like that's all part of it. That's what makes it fun. Like that's why live is so cool because it's like
and it's very live.
Yeah, you can mess stuff up or you leave a pedal on or someone hits, but that's all part of the like show. Yeah, like, that's what that is about. So
well, if it makes you feel any better, the band we had on last week were telling us that their guitarist did a backflip off a cab and then somehow managed to land his mouth on the backup mic and deep throat the mic as he landed. So if you haven't done that, you're good.
Video footage of that.
I mean, you could if you search, Mike deep throat on the internet. I'm sure you'll find something.
That'll search. That'll be wild. I don't think we've had anything like that. We've had stupid shit. Like I still do, but like less so now. Have a habit of flinging guitars. But I threw a guitar at Luke in Sydney once, not on purpose.
I remember that.
And I just never got it properly fixed. So every single time I pick up that guitar, I get chills.
I actually remember that. Yeah, we were playing and we were on opposite sides of the stage and you like lobbed the guitar and it went across the stage and hit the wall
Yeah.
that was behind me.
It was we played
Yeah.
such a horrific show, and then we got off stage, and everyone was like, "That was sick."
Yeah.
Fangirl's latest EP, Real or Stage, is out now, so make sure you get it wherever you listen to your music. If you're lucky enough to be in the UK in October, catch them live at the Shacklewell Arms in London on the 22nd. Vincent, Luke, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat to us today.
Awesome.
Legends. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, really appreciate it.